Today marks exactly 1 year since North Korea's leader and a sitting U.S. president met for the first time in history for summit talks. The unprecedented event opened a new chapter in history, otherwise known as the Singapore Summit. It was a promising moment for the two sides to start building trust, reflected on the joint agreement they signed in Singapore. However, nuclear negotiations hit a snag during their second summit in Hanoi, and not much progress has been made since then. Against such backdrop, President Moon Jae-in has just delivered a speech in Oslo mentioning his peace process on the Korean Peninsula during the second leg of his cross three Nordic nations. Today, we go in depth on where we stand on the road to North Korea's denuclearization with Dr. Bong Young-shik of Yonsei Institute for North Korean Studies. Good to have you back.
Very pleased to be here again.
Let's begin with President Moon Jae-in's speech at the University of Oslo. How did you see it? What are the main points we shouldn't miss out?
Delivering a speech about the peace on the Korean Peninsula and denuclearization would be very emotional touch to President Moon Jae-in. As you mentioned, that today happens to be the 1 year anniversary of historic summit meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chairman Kim Jongnam of North Korea in Singapore, the first ever summit meeting between two sitting leaders of adversaries since the Korean War. And so it must be a very good opportunity for President Moon Jae-in to look back the past effort that he made as a mediator between the U.S. and North Korea to bring irreversible and sustainable peace on the Korean Peninsula. The second reason for him to be emotional, I believe, is that Oslo happens to be the place where for former President Kim Dae-jung, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for his sunshine policy, to engage in North Korea in 2000. So Oslo has a very important symbolic meaning and significance to President Moon Jae-in, who has been a big advocate of engagement toward North Korea.
Now, President Moon Jae-in during his speech said that what we need now is not a new declaration, but efforts to deepen trust and cement determination to continue dialogue. But as we all know, North Korea and the U.S., both sides, they have been showing willingness to continue dialogue, but not much progress has been made. What do you make of that? And what could be a more pragmatic approach to resolve the current deadlock?
You're absolutely correct by highlighting the point in President Moon Jae-in's speech that he cited Albert Einstein saying that peace is only made not through strength but mutual understanding. And in that regard, that not everything has been lost from the collapse of the Hanoi summit meeting in late February, because at least both President Trump and Chairman Kim Jong-un have repeatedly confirmed that they are willing to talk with each other, meaning that diplomatic solution to all the issues lying between the two countries with hostile past history is a good sign, the meaning that both leaders are committed to maintain the basic framework, platform of dialogue and negotiations. So there is a hope for increasing mutual understanding and communication between North Korea and the United States. But as you mentioned, that talks are easy, but actions are very difficult, which was very clearly manifested in the no deal result of the Hanoi summit meeting. So important point for North Korean leadership is to first agreeing on the resumption of working level negotiations. But North Korea has been very adamant in insisting upon United States making new ideas, new approaches to the denuclearization. So the stalemate seems to continue for a while because both the United States and North Korea are insisting that the actions, different attitude must come from the other side first.
President Moon also mentioned that exchanges and cooperation are essential in order to resolve a conflict. Do you think he implied on the need to resume inter-Korean exchanges and inter-Korean projects to the global community?
He emphasized the need. He emphasized the need of exchanges. between North Korea and South Korea, between North Korea and the United States, and between North Korea and the rest of the world. But he's not in a position to give an answer whether that's what North Korean leadership is ready to do or wants to do. So although South Korean leadership wants to initiate a lot of exchange programs and actions, including humanitarian assistance or people-to-people exchange with North Korea, but it is up to the North Korean leadership to take the initiatives by South Korea or not.
Just a few hours ago today, North Korea had sent condolences over the passing of South Korea's former First Lady Lee Hee-ho through Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo Jong. She handed over flowers and messages to South Korea's top security officials. How do you see this gesture?
Well, there's many layered messages behind Ms. Kim Yo Jong's visit to Panmunjom, not all the way to Seoul, to give the condolences to the First Lady's family. By the way, the First Lady who passed away, Madame Lee Hee-ho, is the first wife of the former President Kim Dae-jung, who won the peace, Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo for his sunshine policy. So, passing of former First Lady Lee Hee-ho represents the history of sunshine policy, the good times between the two Koreas. So there is a political need for Kim Jong-un leadership to express sincere condolences to South Korean public. But at the same time, North Korea has not received the request by Moon Jae-in government for unconditional summit meeting between Chairman Kim Jong-un and President Moon Jae-in. That way, I guess the North Korean leadership is expressing its disappointment and anger, not only toward the United States for the Hanoi summit meeting, but also toward South Korea not being on the side of North Korea, but maintaining security partnership and similar stance on denuclearization of North Korea with the United States. So Madam Kim Yo-jong does not commit herself to coming to Seoul and having multiple meetings with the high-ranking officials of Moon Jae-in government to possibly discuss the next steps that can be made by both leaderships in Korea, but just stop short of taking that action.
So today marks exactly 1 year since the Singapore summit. Could you give us a recap on the achievements following the summit? And also, conversely, what do you see as lacking or not done sufficiently?
Well, let's begin with the easy one. We are not in the state of war, or we are not afraid of any imminent war as a real possibility on the Korean Peninsula. So that's a good thing, right? We can sleep in peace at night. This might be just a very natural thing to say, something that you may want to take for granted, but when you go back to the latter part of the calendar year 2017, the cloud of war on the Korean Peninsula was not just a very remote possibility, but something that many people were actually worried about. So President Trump wants to take credit that, listen, under my leadership and initiatives, North Korea has not conducted any more major nuclear test or missile test, and the cloud of war on the Korean Peninsula has been eliminated. At least we are on the same page, me and Chairman Kim Jong-un, on mutual personal trust, maybe not trust between the two governments, but personal trust, and we are willing to give a legitimate chance to settling the issues through talks. So I guess that's the biggest achievement of the past year with the first ever summit meeting between United States and DPRK, countries that theoretically and in reality actually state of war since the suspension of the Korean War in 1953.
So reduced military tensions is definitely a huge achievement since the Singapore summit. President Trump announced today that he received a, quote, beautiful letter from
right.
Kim Jong-un. Although not much details were revealed, many are seeing this as a significant step. What kind of message do you think there was from Kim Jong-un?
Well, I was not invited to have a look at the letter by President Trump, so I can only give you my best guesses. I believe that Chairman Kim Jong-un emphasized and reiterated that he still remained totally committed to having in dialogues with President Trump, maintaining his wish that the best solution would be still top-down, decision-making and communication. And North Korea is not going to walk away from the basic framework of a dialogue. So there is a hope for a third summit meeting between Trump and Kim, but as President Trump himself and his national security advisor, Mr. John Bolton, confirmed that the ball is in the court of North Korea's, because it is up to Kim Jong-un leadership to come up with a new proposal. The dismantling of the Yongbyon nuclear complex, which is not even clearly defined, in exchange for eliminating 5 major United Nations Security Council resolutions on North Korea, would not be accepted by Trump administration.
Trump has also hinted at the possibility of a third North Korea-U.S. summit, as well as U.S. Security Advisor John Bolton. Do you think the letter could lead to any kind of U.S.-North Korea talks?
Well, anything is possible. Anything is possible, but the price must be right. The letter is a nice one, a beautiful letter, warm letter, but that only confirms that Mr. Kim Jong-un is committed to talking to U.S. President to make a big deal. But the United States has no reason to rush into another summit meeting, because the U.S. government clearly confirmed in the Hanoi summit meeting that time favors the United States, not North Korea, because sanctions are actually really working. So North Korea is a desperate one, not the United States. So I don't think there's any sense of desperation on the part of Washington to rush into a third summit meeting before Washington sees that North Korean leadership is truly committed to taking concrete actions toward final and fully verified denuclearization.
Well, North Korea has told the U.S. many times that it will give the U.S. until the end of this year to make a decision. I think that also shows how desperate North Korea is. Now, Trump also commented on the report that Kim's half-brother, Kim Jongnam, who was killed at the Kuala Lumpur airport 2 years ago, was a source of intel for the CIA, saying that such a thing would not happen while he's in office. How do you interpret that remark?
I have to, get my sources checked because it is not really clear whether when President Trump says that such a thing would not have happened on my watch, may mean different things. One is that Mr. Kim Jongnam would not have been killed on my watch, or Kim Jongnam being used by U.S. CIA would not have happened on my watch. I don't know. I'm not sure which interpretation is the correct one.
President Moon will also deliver a speech on Friday, this time to the Swedish Parliament. What kind of message do you expect this Friday?
Another appeal to the rest of the world or international community that North Korean leadership deserve an opportunity to come out, to engage with the world. So something very similar to the message that he delivered when he traveled UK and France, with a message that economic cooperation with North Korea would enhance the chance for North Korea accepting denuclearization. That kind of message may be repeated, but in a safer and softer tones, because South Korea needs to maintain the same stance with the United States and Japan, countries that argue that tough economic sanctions would give the best chance that North Korea would come out for denuclearization. But Sweden has been the venue for international mediation and negotiations. One good example is the negotiation between Tokyo and Pyongyang on the abduct issue that happened in 2014. So President Moon Jae-in might appeal to the Swedish government to play a similar role as a mediator between U.S. and North Korea, and also possibly between the two Koreas.
The leaders of South Korea and the U.S. are likely to meet at the end of this month for summit talks. What kind of outcome do you expect from those talks?
The honest answer is I don't know. I have to wait and see. Because if summit meeting happens between President Trump and President Moon Jae-in, the outcome may swing very widely between the two extremes. Maybe President Moon Jae-in succeeded in persuading President Trump for making a big deal with North Korea, or persuading the United States on the third summit meeting with North Korea by lowering the bar of demands to North Korea for denuclearization. That's the one possibility. The other possibility, which is the opposite to the first possibility, is North Korean leadership would be extremely angry and belligerent if Washington and Seoul agreed to maintain the same stance on tough economic sanctions to continue on North Korea and confirm the need to enhance the interoperability of U.S. military in South Korea and South Korean military, and strengthening the security partnership between U.S. and South Korea against the common threats, which would definitely include nuclear North Korea.
All right, Dr. Bong, thank you as always for your thorough analysis.
Thank you.
And that does it for this edition of News in Depth. From all of us here at Arirang, thank you for watching.